and welcome. My name is Waldis from Data. I'm joined here today with Mantas Lenkolkas from Dell Technologies, and we're going to be going through the Dell product, which is APEX, and all that entails. Can you break down what actually is APEX?
Hey, Waldis, thanks for having me. Yes, it's a very common question. So, by definition, APEX is Dell's portfolio of technology as a service. But I feel it's a little bit worthwhile scratching the surface of that, because what is technology as a service and what does that entail?
And to who?
Exactly. So I'd like to think of APEX as multiple pillars under a umbrella brand. So first and foremost, it's our technology delivered on a consumption basis. That's fairly simple, straightforward to understand. But more importantly, what that leads into is the world of multi-cloud. How can you have the same look and feel and smell of public clouds in private IaaS? What are the different architectures? Cloud adjacency, ground to cloud, cloud to ground, as well as true SaaS. So it's never a really short and easy answer, but I would like to suggest that APEX covers a blanket conversation across these subjects.
Yeah, so a global brand that is underneath, it's all Dell technology. It depends on which aspect within the Dell technology, very vast product portfolio you require to consume as a service.
Exactly. And it's like a lot of these big names or big statements, they're usually not one thing to all people, right? Like if you think about the cloud means different things to different stakeholders. Ask 10 customers what does cloud mean to you, you'll get probably 20 different answers.
And depending on like cloud today versus cloud in 12 months time, how they're planning on consuming it today, consuming it in the future.
Exactly. And I think maybe 10, 15 years ago we thought cloud was a destination. Then it's a journey, it's a transformation. We've run different studies with IDC and asked our customers, why are you choosing cloud? What does cloud mean to you? And we don't get a single answer, but majority leads to cloud is a way to consume technology. Organizations are after business outcomes rather than places, locations, or companies who are building for that. So we'd like to think of cloud as a way to have your technology in a flexible, consumptive manner. So it has to be designed for OpEx treatment, it has to be flexible, it has to be as a service, it has to be abstracted to a certain level. This is what cloud means to most of our customers. And this is where we are going with APEX. These are the outcomes we are looking to achieve for our customers with APEX.
Yeah, it's all about outcomes. So if you need product X consumed on a monthly bill, APEX is a solution down that path.
Yes, and a very important conversation is the level of abstraction. So more and more our customers are telling us that while the great Dell technology and the engineering that underpins our product is phenomenal and it gives them those really good technical wins, the key stakeholders at our customers, they don't want to know that. They don't want to know the detail. They like to see a certain level of abstraction. So instead of saying it's product X or product Y, we change our conversations to customer. Do you require storage? Is it file or block? What type? Is it slow, medium, fast? This level of abstraction gives our customers the headspace by not having to learn our technology and actually focus on their business while knowing that Dell is there to drive that engine to underpin their architecture and application platforms.
Yeah, and that's at that highest level of abstraction. So let's talk about that one as the most hands-off. It's, I just need that many IOPS, that much capacity over that many years. That's a solution. But we do have a lot of customers that do want to know a little bit more about their technology, and within that umbrella of APEX, we can go all the way down where you're actually buying the hardware yourself and putting it in your own DC. So every customer has a different outcome they're looking for, and it's all about outcomes, as you're saying.
Perfect, well put. And I mentioned earlier that APEX as well as cloud cannot be one thing to all people. So some of our customers, like we said, they choose to say, I really don't want to know what's under the hood, I just want to consume it. Whereas others, either they may have very specific requirements in terms of performance, in terms of security posture, in terms of design. It may be validated designs to match with some of the applications they're running. There could be a myriad of reasons. They need to choose and pick their own hardware, sometimes up to the NICs, the network cards.
Yeah.
We have that option as well, and this is where we see Apex as a truly flexible offering, where we can go as high as I just want storage to as low as I want this particular hard drive based in this RAID configuration because I need it for specific reasons.
Yeah.
And that's all available on consumption.
And as you were saying, also location. So if you need it in your own DC, in your office, option for that one as well.
Our geography, especially in a country and continent like Australia, is critical, because as much as we can be creative with our technologies, you can't find the laws of physics.
Yeah, that's right. You've mentioned in the past when we've had discussions the 3 laws.
Yes, so I'll quickly touch on that. When thinking about in the context of multi-cloud and application placement, where does each application need to live, we try and think of the 3 laws. First and foremost, the laws of physics. That's very simple. What latency tolerance does that specific use case have? What network speeds do you have? So the nuts and bolts that still put us in a certain rules. The second law is the laws of economy. Is this particular use case well built and designed for different types of cloud, whether it's better suited in public cloud or better suited in private cloud? Is it something that needs to scale 20, 30, 50, 100 times? Or is it something which is perhaps data heavy and really difficult to move between different clouds? This is what we mean by the laws of economy, because all of that incurs a certain price tag. Last but not least is the laws of the land. Data sovereignty. Does specific information need to reside within a certain country, within a certain state, within a certain company's premises or private local network? There is information which is too sensitive to leave a building sometimes, and that still needs to reside somewhere, and we're delivering all that as a service as well.
Yeah, we've seen a few times, for instance, like you were saying, Australia is a very large country where people on the west coast need to know that their data is somewhere within WA. They can't have the second DC in Sydney or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, could be state related and legislation related. It could be a simple matter of latency, and sometimes it's not that easy to. The end user experience defines that you need to have that same look and feel. This is a perfect example with WA, right? If you have, let's say, an application which is running perfectly cloud and perfectly well in one of the hyperscalers, but the user experience in the West Coast is just not there, and that could be due to latency. So what we can do with an Apex offering, we can architect and design a solution which will first and foremost meet the technical requirements, but then look and feel from a operational as well as commercial model very similar to what you have on the East Coast. And this is where we see the whole cloud to ground approach.
Yeah, and we're seeing, like you're saying, the hyperscalers, everyone's heard of bill shock and seeing that, and the right workload in the right place, and this is we can target that and bring that down to getting, like you said, that same feel of that hyperscaler feel, but within your own hardware, on your own location, or wherever else is required.
Exactly. And when saying bring it down, we really want to emphasize one fact. This is not a one or the other approach. This is a right tool or right cloud.
Multi-cloud. Multi-cloud. Everyone has the right workload in the right place.
Exactly.
It is what it is. So, yeah, we've got the idea that Apex is this umbrella term, and there's a lot of different pillars underneath. When you go talk to customers about this, where do you start the conversation? Because you're right, every conversation is unique. Everybody's story, requirements differs. Is there sort of an entry level where you go, hello, Mr. Customer, let's talk Apex? You're not going to say Apex because...
Yeah, exactly. So there's a couple of key questions which we like to discuss with customers to help, not even guide them, but to help them kind of discover for themselves on what this journey means to them. So first and foremost, what does cloud mean to you? What is your definition of cloud? I'll share some examples. Some will say, to me, cloud is a OPEX. That's what cloud is, okay? We understand that, Mr. Customer, for you, financial cloud drivers. And another very common approach is saying, cloud means I don't have to manage my own hardware. Okay, that means that you're focused on operational tasks. Another will say it's off-premise, or it's elastic. I can scale up and scale down. Or it can mean that we as a business have made a strategic decision to partner with one of the large cloud providers, and we want solutions which align to that. All are very valid questions. Once we understand what is their definition of cloud and what does cloud mean to them, and I feel the next question we should really try and unpack a little bit more is that level of abstraction I mentioned. How much, and this is, again, there's no right or wrong. Some companies have, and we know that recruitment is a difficult time in Australia. Some companies have staffing shortages, especially in their operational teams, and say, I don't have the resources to run this. Others will say, I have phenomenal resources, and I really want to make use of my engineers who do a great job managing our platform. Again, the level of abstraction. So we discuss the roles and responsibilities. Where would they like to see this? Where do they think they're going? Last but not least, then we unpack and understand the commercials, is there any data restrictions? What is the security posture? How do they consume it? Do we need to bring a financial expert in the room to maybe talk about realizing capital expenditure versus operational expenditure? Like there's different layers of it, but similar to the technology, look at a big picture and zoom in. We try and steer the conversation in that way to first of all understand what are the key drivers, and then really focus on those drivers and see where we can help.
Yeah. And Dell also being the global giant hardware manufacturer that it is, we do have that option of going, this is what your CapEx versus your OPEX is. So we can show them what a nice Dell hardware stack will cost as upfront, and then we can also then show them and go through, as you were saying, that discussion, go, look, we can consume this entire stack in an OPEX model, and we can show apples with apples.
We can. I feel, and while there's always the sanity check and understanding that anything being purchased needs to make commercial sense, we really try and lead with the question, what is it that you're after, Mr. Customer, first, rather than a kind of straight head-to-head comparison, CapEx versus OPEX, because these are different drivers, and these things mean different things. Like, you can't just say, dollar for dollar, this is what we look like, because there's the cost of cash, there's the flexibility, there's the under-provisioning, over-provisioning. So there's too many things. So to answer your question, yes, we can and we often do look at different comparisons, but we do try and understand early what is the end result, what is it that the company is looking for.
It's interesting that you mentioned provisioning, because that also brings up part of one of the pillars in the APEX around flex on demand. So you've got that provisioning where we can provision for today, but part of the model is that we've got that built-in headspace already in the solution ready to go.
Exactly. And depending on how an organization's internal procurement structure works, depending on, and we've seen shipping delays, Dell has a great global distribution network, but even we had our own challenges during COVID.
Who didn't?
Exactly. So for companies, and this is going back to the original question, what is the company trying to achieve? So commercially, sometimes having that ability that if you need to burst, you can do that within 10 seconds rather than 10 days or 10 weeks, that's a big value to the company. So we shouldn't underestimate that flexibility that it gives and the ability to forecast costing. While we're on the subject of costing, I just kind of want to touch very briefly. A lot of internal IT departments are saying that when we are able to quantify a resource, by gigabytes of RAM consumed per month, or by gigabytes of storage consumed, dollar per gigabyte, dollar per CPU cycle costings, they're then very easily able to articulate those costs back to their business stakeholders and say, Mr. Project Manager, if you require these resources, which let's say is, I don't know, 100 virtual machines for the next 10 months, that's fine, great. The answer is always yes. We'll give it to you. By the way, that's the price tag. It's easy for IT to become a business enabler by being able to easily quantify that. Where previously, if they had bought a large server farm, they need to, and that server farm's lifespan is 3 or 5 years, they need to carve up that cost manually. Whereas now we bill it directly, and it's very easy to translate this.
See, we've got an idea what APEX is. We've discussed that you've talked about how we approach a conversation. Have we got any good examples of wins and how it looks in the real world? It's all well and good to talk about this thing.
One thing which we've had a recent success with in particular a healthcare provider was their business has basically different modes of operation, and it's quite depending on the occupancy levels is their revenue and their need for resources. So we've created a model where they have effectively 2 modes of operating. Mode 1 is we're just keeping the lights on. That's our bare minimum cost of resources, and we have the resources there, but they're not running at full capacity. As the occupancy increases, each particular, say, resident requires a certain amount of resources. That's then increased. So as the income increases, then the infrastructure bill increases at the same time proportionally. That then it allows them to better plan and, quite frankly, reflect on their P&L.
That also, the scaling, that really works really well for managed service providers and that kind of as a service providers out in the market.
Well, we see, and when we start talking anything APEX, anything cloud, the conversation becomes really wide. And this is where we see that our channel, our cloud service providers, our service providers really add most value, because at the end of the day, at the core of Dell, we are a great technology company. We deliver and we create technology. While we do have offerings which deliver services, the prime, where we see who really knows our customers best, who can touch and really interact with them best, and provide that additional white glove service, is our service providers. And also, they're the glue that sticks it all together. The different public cloud providers, together with the private infrastructure, together with all the other value-added services that we add. So channel is truly the lead of our go-to-market. And in saying that, we understand that this is new. Dell have not been interacting with our channel and our customers in that way traditionally for a very long time. While APEX has been around for a few years, it's still not second nature. So we've actually established a lot of resources, including great distribution partners, who can assist our channel in having these conversations. And I feel it's really important that we really work on this partnership, and we're always happy to go together and have these conversations together and share the Dell point of view. And probably take this opportunity to invite a lot of our channel partners to take advantage of these resources which are available to them.
Yeah, and you're right, it's an entirely different conversation, because I'm sure you probably had that conversation where you start talking around the multi-cloud APEX conversation. Partners start going, oh, so Dell's becoming a cloud service provider.
A hyperscaler.
A hyperscale, yeah. And no. It's a different, no, they're not hyperscalers, they're doing their own thing. It's Dell hardware. It's part of the overall conversation, working with the hyperscalers for the outcome that customers need.
Exactly, and if you look at industry growth and market trends, we can see that while yes, of course, public cloud is, and because it's such a huge market, it continues to grow. But if you look in percentages, the private IaaS is really booming projected to boom over the next few years. So we feel that by Dell focusing in this area, we really help our channel partners capitalize on this growth in this particular part of the market and this particular part of the industry.
And at the other end of the scale, Dell also play ball with all the hyperscalers. So it's not if or.
No, Project Alpine is Dell technology in the public cloud. Like APEX backup services lives in the public cloud. We have our storage software extending into the public cloud. So in no way, shape or form are we saying that it's one or the other. It truly is the best of both worlds.
Yeah. So you can build the whole stack based around Dell, but touching the cloud as required. So look, we've gone through a lot of points here, and it is a big conversation. So if we bring it down, what's your 30-second sales pitch around APEX with customers?
APEX is a better way for our customers to consume technology, and it aligns the way we deliver technology to their needs. That could be either commercial, that could be operational, that could be in terms of legal and jurisdiction. How do we have APEX conversations? I would encourage all of us to think about a couple of main points to ask our customers. What does the cloud mean to you? How do you like to use technology? What are some of your key drivers in terms of, is it financial? Is it operational? Is it legal? And by all means, leverage the resources that you have. Will help you, will join these chats.
Yeah. So what is your outcome what is your desired outcome? And then we have that conversation, how we can help with Dell technology get to that desired outcome.
Beautiful.
Okay. Thanks so much for your time today. And thanks to everyone for watching. If anybody has any further questions around APEX, the multi-cloud story, or any other aspect of Dell Technologies, please reach out to Dicadata and we'll be more than happy to discuss that with you. Thanks again.